My name is Stacy Rothgeb. I'm an MBA student at the University of Denver. I'm talking about 15 non-obvious trends shaping our future normal. The speakers were Rohit Bhargava and Henry Kodaho Mason. Basically, these are authors that are promoting a new book that they have out, which is The Future Normal. So I was not sure if I was going to get to the conference in time for a session, for an 11 o'clock session or 11:30. So I achieved one of my South by Southwest goals, and I got in the longest line. And I was actually in an overflow room for this. So this was trying to go after something that I thought would be completely new to me, and I didn't even know what the topic was, making the most of the South by Southwest. But I will say, as I walked away, that it just reinforced something that I think I already knew. Well, everything that is actually the point of the session, and gave some new ideas about innovation and creativity. So basically, what the future of normal is the idea that we are always working towards normal, right? And everything around us. So these, what do they call them? Non-obvious trends are just showing how, as humans, we are moving to whatever our new normal is. And the big takeaway I had is that there's actually very few new ideas, but there's an infinite possibilities about how we apply what we know. I come from a research background, so this is particularly true. I think that there are we can't change physics. Physics is physics. It's been there all along, but we can apply it in new ways. And like even chemistry, we can apply it in new ways. So there's a lot of taking what you know or what others have said and digging deeper, or making connections between two known things to make them work better together. So to me, that's the definition of innovation. It's when you take what you know and make something new out of it that improves our world in some way. So there was a number of examples used in this presentation that I thought were quite interesting. And again, this whole mindset of, having an awareness and looking at what you know and how you can apply it. And some of it's appreciation, like so much learning, you have to look back and be like, oh, that used to be innovative and new, and now it's our normal. And so it's like looking what we think is innovative and new now, and how is it going to be our normal in the future. My favorite example that was used was glucose monitoring. So if anyone has experience with someone who has diabetes, and I happen to have a sister-in-law with it, it's amazing how the technology has changed. And so we went from very manual, like test strips, where then there is these pumps, which it could be more, continuous flow of the insulin, and finally, at this point, they've got like computers that are testing you constantly and doing it all automatically. And so the learning there is that, we've seen that technology change, but what they're saying what our new normal is there's also a lot of advantages we're finding to tracking glucose in people who don't have diabetes. So one of the things that was pointed out is that 1 in 5 people are precursors to diabetes, and if they had tested and knew early, they could make what would feel like very reasonable changes to their lives and maybe prevent from the onset of the disease. That would be huge. Another thing that was talked about is that glucose is such an indicator of health that there is now studies showing that if you're really monitoring your glucose, even if you don't have diabetes, you can really fine-tune your diet and your exercise and really live at a higher level of health. And something that I think people can relate to is heart rate monitors. As you know, our new normal is that almost everyone has, or lots of people have, some kind of wearable fitness device where it's watching their heart rate all the time, and you have that data, and you adjust your life accordingly, or you can use it as motivation to be more fit. Well, I think there's a future where you could be monitoring glucose in the same way. So there were a couple other examples that were notable during the conversation that made me go, oh, that's interesting. And one of them was ChatGPT, which everyone is talking about right now. This is the idea that, AI can write papers for us. It was very funny that the authors were asked, did GPT write their paper? And their response was no, because they started writing it before it really boomed in the last year or so. But they did use it to critique their paper, which is an interesting thing. But again, it's like taking what you know and applying it in new ways is the idea to use that AI to almost like a peer review and make sure that that you have the highest quality available. Another interesting example that was provided was psychedelics. Maybe it's my age and my background, but when I think of psychedelics, I think of a recreational drug that you use to escape reality. It deadens your senses, and it's used, escapism, as I said. But now there's studies showing that psychedelics can like rewire your brain and into a manner that will make you more creative. And my brain, where I went with that is that my parents are senior citizens, and I'm constantly encouraging them to step outside of their comfort zone, because that's how you ward off Alzheimer's and dementia. And so I'm sitting there thinking about these psychedelics and how it's like proactively rewiring your brain to maybe be stronger in a creative way. Again, it's being able to put aside what you think use things that we know in new ways. And I think that's really innovative, and that really gives us something to think about. So you've heard my perspective. So how does this impact me? I think after today, so often it's a reinforcement of a message. As I said before, I've always known, to me, innovation has always been taking what you know and reapplying it. I liked the perspective of, it was like this future's not scary perspective. It's this, we are always just working to our new normal, and we always find it. There's always in many ways where we're stronger for it. One thing they did say that I haven't mentioned was a requirement for this futurist mindset was you have to think, you have to be very conscious of humanity. And so I think that's, that was a big takeaway for me too, is that it's not just about building the biggest widget or creating the most profit or anything like that, that at the end of the day, it's about serving humanity, and we need to keep that in mind.